Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose, and boy, do I have a burr under my saddle today. You know what? It seems as though I'm saying that quite frequently these days. Peter Gallo is going to be joining us in just a moment. I'm not going to tell you that I agree with everything that Peter Gallo has to say, but I am all about letting people respectfully have their say on this program, and I think it's very interesting dialogue. What we do agree on is the United Nations is way out of bounds. In fact, the United Nations needs to cease to exist. Do you know that we in the United States, let me get the latest number here so that I have this exactly where we need it to be, and I'm not embellishing in any way, shape, or form. I just had the funding pulled up here. The United States in 2023, we contributed 18 billion with the B dollars to the United Nations. Now, here's where it gets sad. I was going to say interesting, but it's sad. 17% of that is what we are required to submit as members of the United Nations. The balance, 83%, is voluntary. We just, because we're nice people and we're flush with cash, and the taxpayers want to just dole out money to the entire world, which we do to the tune of $70 billion each year. Folks, that's just foreign aid. That doesn't include what's been going to Israel. That doesn't include what's been going to the Ukraine. That's just what we do normally in foreign aid. When did we become the be all give all philanthropic organization to the world? No, it isn't. It is not my taxpayer money. It's our kids and our grandkids who are going to be paying this forever. Now, the largest budget at the United Nations is the World Food Prize. I'm not saying that they don't do good work, but what I am saying is that there's got to be a better way, and that we can no longer afford this. Because at the end of the day, all the United Nations wants to do is rule the world. And we will not, I repeat, we will not have a one world government. That's biblical. We cannot let it happen. I also am very concerned with the motivations of the leaders of Israel. I do believe that Israel is the Holy Land. It is the chosen place. But I believe an evil contention has taken that over. And that is exactly why you see happening what is happening today. In fact, this conversation with Peter Gallo took place last week. And since that point in time, things have even expanded in what Netanyahu says he's going to do this coming week. Not like he cares about Easter. Remember, the Jewish folks don't think Jesus has been here. We'll be back. Peter Gallo, Trent on the loose after this.
Are you looking for something special or one of a kind? At Bassett Motors, we can help you find exactly what you want.
Come on in and experience how small town hospitality and personal service can make car buying a pleasure.
We know interest rates are important to you. We have multiple lenders to negotiate your lowest payment.
Visit us on Highway 281 in Carrington, North Dakota, and online at BassettMotors.com. Bassett Motors, where our customers send their friends.
Folks, when it comes to crop protection, you need equipment and technology you can count on. The Apache sprayer accomplishes all of that, but you need something else. A service counter and a group of people that'll help you when you need it. Simpson Farm Enterprises at simpsonfarm.com and High Plains Apache from Mandan. They have the service, they have the equipment. All they need is your confidence. Online, simpsonfarm.com or highplainsapache.com.
In the heart of North Dakota lies a beautiful community to live, work, and play. Beulah is surrounded by nature and just minutes from Lake Sakakawea and all that it offers. The possibilities for fun and relaxation here are boundless. It's the perfect place to find a fulfilling career, epic adventures, and a welcoming community. Life here is legendary. Plan your visit today and see what you're missing.
At OLS Tubs, we focus on quality ingredients to create premium, low-consumption supplements that save producers time and money. Our customers see increased profits through better conception rates, heavier winning weights, and less time and money spent on doctoring herds. OLS formulas focus on highly bioavailable trace minerals and vitamins, as well as key ingredients to improve immune response, colostrum quality, and feed conversion. Our exclusive formula propels your livestock to their full genetic potential. This is why we confidently say OLS Tubs are simply the best.
Trent Loos here for my friend Greg Hager. Do you know why he has been named the Entertainer of the Year? It's because he writes his own stuff. It's because what he writes and performs and entertains will touch you in a way like very few songwriters can touch you. His country, his Christian roots come to life. Visit greghager.com for tour dates, merchandise, and book the show yourself. Use the code GREG24 for a discount. greghager.com.
Welcome back, y'all. It's Trent on the Loos. Peter Gallo joining us from the Smoky Mountains. Is that fair to say, Peter?
Certainly is.
Because it's true. we live in the era where truth is hard to find.
Yeah, well, I moved out of New York and I now live in the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina.
That just sounds very lovely. New York is a disaster. I was recently in New York, and people are trying to figure out how to get out throughout not just New York City, the entire state. What a wreck!
It's yeah, it's. I don't believe it's the best environment for the best environment for much actually.
Speaking,
I wasn't responsible for any of that.
That is awesome. A perfect response. I didn't make that mess. I just left it.
No. I took one look at it and thought, like a free-range chicken, I'm out here.
Oh my goodness. And you went to the mountains, which is what all free-range chickens would do.
Well, there you go.
So we're actually here to talk about Gaza. You want to give it, what background do you want to give us? I wanted to call you an investigative journalist, but you weren't too content with that. So we'll just call you Peter Gallo. How's that?
Yeah, that'll do. That would be me.
So what do you know and what's going on in Gaza?
Well, Gaza is a peculiar situation in international law. It is the only place where you can be legally considered a refugee because of your grandfather or your great-grandfather moved in 1948. You can be legally considered a refugee because of that status, notwithstanding the fact that you're a consultant neurologist working in one of the top hotels in Manhattan. And it is the only place in the world where you have a dedicated UN agency dealing with one specific group of people. Voted for it. The following day, 5 neighboring Arab countries invaded this new upstart Jewish state, which they did not want to see in existence. That was 3 years after we threw the book at the leading Nazis at Nuremberg, charged with international crimes, including waging an international war. My bad. Waging an aggressive war. That sounds pretty much to me like waging an aggressive war.
Right.
And what the Palestinians describe as the Nakba, the catastrophe. Well, yes, it was a catastrophe because the Arab countries encouraged them to move out of the way so that they weren't overrun by Arab tanks or anything else, only to discover that this ragtag bunch of Holocaust survivors who nobody, certainly none of the Arab nations, gave any credit for, proceeded to beat the snot out of them. But rather than accept defeat, they have basically continued that hostility through diplomatic means, and the UN has gone along with that. Now we get to the situation when back in January,
Peter,
yep.
can I ask you a question about 1948 before we go to January? What is the involvement of the Rothschilds in the establishment of the country of Israel, the land itself?
I don't know. I wasn't there, so I can't help you on that one.
Okay, fair enough.
This is not really my historical area of expertise, but it is useful background. And when I speak about this, I quote a former British general, actually, called Sandy Galloway, who was in 1950, I think, head of UNRWA, which is the United Nations Relief Works Agency for the Middle East. And there's a quotation from him saying that the Arab nations have no interest in in peace or anything else, and they just want to maintain this refugee problem as an open affront against Israel and against the United Nations. And I have come to realize that I think he pretty much nailed it at that point. And this is that, if you like, was the seeds of their own destruction. Now, UNRWA is a curious thing. Yes, it was set up because there was a refugee problem in the late 1940s, but it never went away. I mean, there was, for example, another very comparable agency called UNKRA, the Korean Refugee Agency, because of the Korean War. 3 years later, all the refugee problems have been sorted. Everyone's been resettled. So the organization packed up its tents and went home. That did not happen because they have kept UNRWA going. And it has been very obvious for many, many years that UNRWA is very pro-Palestinian, anti-Israeli. The expert who you want to speak to is a guy called Hillel Neuer of a group called UN Watch, and they have been documenting this for years. And the UN just chooses to be willfully blind to it. So along comes October 7th last year. Israel is quietly at peace, minding their own business. They have over 1,200 people murdered in a deliberate military anarchist attack. I mean, that was inexcusable. Okay, so they have had to go in to try and destroy the Hamas terrorist organization. Now, in the course of a regular meeting between the UN and Israel back in January, the Israelis provided information, and they said 12 of your staff were actively involved in the terrorist attacks on the 7th of October.
12 of the staff of the United Nations.
12 UN staff members that they were able to name and identify. Whereupon the UN panicked and immediately fired them and announced that what was going to happen was the Office of Internal Oversight Services, that's OIOS, which is the internal investigation office in the UN, were going to investigate this. Now, at that point, I laugh out loud. I worked in OIOS. Not everyone who is there now was there 7-8 years ago when I was there, but I know the people, and I've dealt with the people who are now running it. And at the risk of sounding rude and offensive, I don't think they could investigate their way out of a wet paper bag. But worse than that, think about that for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
You have been asked to investigate whether 12 people who are no longer UN staff members were actively involved in a terrorist organization. I would not have agreed to do that. And I don't think you or anyone else would have done it either.
Right.
Because the problem is, how are you going to do it? How are you going to achieve that? The Israelis knew, and they had that information, and they're not going to tell you. I mean, I don't know exactly how they got the information. I could guess. And I'm guessing, number one, it's because they've got everyone's telephones tapped. Number two, it's because they are running covert sources, snitches, throughout Gaza. And number three is that of the Hamas operatives that they've captured, they have encouraged to give them information. Whichever of those three it is, they're not going to share that information with you.
Right.
Right? So,
nor how they encourage to acquire that information.
Hold that thought.
That
because
tactic.
they could have tickled their feet.
Yeah.
In order to get the information out of them. And I have said from the beginning, what's going to happen? They're going to claim they were tortured. So guess what's happened? People are saying the Israelis tortured us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we've got, as I say, we've got this office which carries out bureaucratic administrative investigations into misbehavior by staff members, right? All of a sudden think they can investigate membership of a terrorist organization in the middle of a war zone.
Right.
No.
Peter, I got to take a break. We'll pick it up right there with the no on investigating in a war zone. Peter Gallo.
Absolutely.
More Trent on the Loose after this.
Stop out to our facility, Highway 22 South. Let us build a truck for you.
Hello and welcome to the MHA Interpretive Center. It's the perfect stop along the Lewis and Clark Trail and the cultural hub of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. Nestled along the shores of Lake Sagagawea in Newtown, North Dakota, 1 mile west of the Four Bears Casino. You can enjoy amphitheater performances, art exhibitions, and educational workshops utilizing our Living Cultural Center. Enjoy some coffee, browse our gift shop, and learn about the original people of this land. Learn more at mhanation.com/interpretive center.
People get sick for two reasons and two reasons only. Your body's missing something that it needs, or it's exposed to something that it doesn't need. So if you supplement what the body's missing, the body fixes itself. If you remove from the body toxins that are interfering with the body's doing what it's normally designed to do, then the body heals itself. It's really that simple.
NO2U, that's nitric oxide, NO, number 2, letter U.com, and you put Trent as coupon code, you don't pay any shipping.
Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson is a family-owned dealer with expert staff that know their products front to back. We stock over 150 units of all types and can custom order a trailer with the unique features and capabilities you require for brands you can trust. Our experienced service team is the reason we're also the best place to have your trailer customized or repaired. Count on Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson to keep you hauling.
Welcome back, Trent on the Loose. Peter Gallo joining us here from the Smoky Mountains, and we are talking about the 12. It seems like it's always a baker's dozen. Oh, wait, that would be 13. The 12 individuals that are involved in the United Nations participating in the Hamas attacks in Gaza, in Israel, in October. All right, so pick it up there, Peter.
But the number is more than that. The number is in the thousands. It just started with 12.
Got it.
And as I said, OIOS has not a snowball's chance of establishing that. I mean, what are you going to do? Knock on doors in Gaza? Number one, you have no authority. It's not like you can say, hello, we're from the UN, and we're going to take you into custody to interview you. You have no authority to do that, right? The only thing they can do is ask nicely. And anybody with any brains is going to realize, well, if you're living in a society that is controlled by a terrorist organization, you're not going to be so stupid as to open your mouth and say anything.
Right.
Right. I mean, people's lives are at risk on a daily basis. And the organization, the UNRWA, I mean, the number of occasions when weapon systems have been found, grenades, AK-47s, explosives, inside UNRWA premises, inside schools, inside hospitals, right? Because Hamas has basically been leading the UN around by the nose for years. And we have this situation where a UN agency is, I believe, so deeply embedded and infiltrated by a terrorist organization that you have to step back and say, what are we doing here? Why does this agency exist? Right? How is this promoting the cause of world peace? Now, there was hearings in the Congress about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago now, and nobody on either side was seriously suggesting that the humanitarian aid be cut. But what they're saying in the political message, which I think we really have to support, is why should UNRWA be dealing with everything in Gaza? What's wrong with the World Health Organization? What's wrong? Why isn't the UN High Commission for Human Rights involved? Why isn't the UN High Commission for Refugees dealing with it and trying to resettle these people? And I think the world has to take a very cold and sober look at what is going on and the UN's role in perpetuating this conflict that has been allowed to fester for 75 years because the Arab nations didn't want to admit that they had been militarily defeated.
Well, Peter, what's the relationship between the Mossad and Hamas?
Again, I can't answer that, but if you would like me to make an intelligent guess, I would suggest that that the Mossad know an awful lot more about what's going on inside Hamas than the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Israel is a country, it's about the size of New Jersey. I haven't measured it, right?
That gives us a good pictorial, though.
Yeah, surrounded by sworn enemies, surrounded by a terrorist organization. And this whole idea that you hear on university campuses in this country about Palestine must be free. Really? Yeah. Gaza must be free. Gaza it was in fact free. Israel pulled out of Gaza. There are zero number of Israelis or Jews living in Gaza, right, since 2006. And what has happened? It is basically, it is being run as a terrorist state with the active assistance of the UN.
So, this is very conflicting for me because I see the whole entire country. We know that the Christians in the United States see Israel Jerusalem as the Holy Land. No question about it. And when we hear anything about the Holy Land, we just automatically give our support no matter what. I don't know that we have the ability to discern whether or not the Holy Land has been taken over by evil forces to begin with. I don't know how we rationalize all of the information that we get. How do you discern what's right and what's not, Peter?
Well, at a very simple level, I don't think a terrorist organization murdering 1,400 women and children, civilians, mutilating bodies, raping the women, I do not believe that that is defensible under any system of morality anywhere.
Nor do I.
Right? I mean, the way I put it is the God I believe in, if he wanted me dead, I would not be alive by the end of the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't be subcontracting the murdering out to, a bunch of the illiterates that can't read and write and will do what they're told. But it comes down to, does a nation state have a right to defend itself? And I believe it does. Right? And this idea that, there has to be a two-state solution, the Arabs, the Palestinians have their own state. You do realize that they have had the ability to do that since 2005 in Gaza. They quite frankly don't want to. What are you going to reward terrorism?
You reward terrorism, you continue to get more terrorism.
Exactly. I mean, the two-state solution, which is flaunted as what is required to make peace, and if there was if the Palestinians had their own state, everything would begin. Every other problem in the Middle East would evaporate overnight. Oh, really? They have been offered it, I think, 7 times, and they don't want it because the problem with the two-state solution is Israel is the other of the two.
We just have 2 minutes, Peter.
Sure.
Why does that conflict continue? Why doesn't Palestine just take the state that's given to them? What's the real motivation?
If they take Gaza as their state, they would have to recognize that Israel, has a right to the parts of the territory, the parts of the world occupied by Israel, and they have no interest. I do not believe they have any interest in doing that. And I believe that the UN has basically gone along with this abuse of the international system.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I'm just not convinced myself, while I believe in the Holy Land, that the Mossad is any better than Hamas.
The Mossad is basically defending Israeli interests. And I don't think they can be faulted for that. Has everything they've ever done been strictly legal? I don't know. Probably not. It's certainly not engaging in the indiscriminate mass killing of women and children.
Peter, where do people that want to get more about your work, do you have a place for them to go?
What I would encourage people to do is go to UN Watch. Don't come to me. Go to UN Watch at unwatch.org and look at the evidence that they have gathered on things like school teachers in UNRWA schools celebrating terrorism. Right? The use of UNRWA premises for terrorist weapons and this kind of thing. Go to UN Watch. Support UN Watch.
Peter Gallo, thank you so much. We're out of time, and I have a feeling we're going to be doing this again.
My pleasure, sir.
God bless the veterans and the farmers who feed us.
So see these cows here, Trent?
everyone. I'm Trent Loos. Welcome to another Live Across the Pond with my pontification partner, Andrew Henderson. Good afternoon, UK. I'm saying good afternoon. Your act together over there.
Again. Good early morning, USA, and it's still morning here in the UK, but not as far as you're concerned, Trent. So you've told me it's the afternoon, and I'll feel like it's the afternoon. How's that?
All right. Well, don't you change clocks this weekend?
Yes, apparently
all right.
so.
I feel like the ship will be righted after this weekend.
Oh, is that a segue into what we should be talking about? Like, people in America are now realizing this could be one of the biggest atrocities ever perpetrated against America yesterday. When I realized just how important that bridge is, I couldn't believe that somebody with your intelligence wasn't onto that like a rat up a drain pipe. Honestly,
I didn't dig into it, but now I got information. Do you know what the Mason-Dixon line is?
It sounds like a part of the song on the Casey Jones TV show, but go on. The Mason-Dixon line, what is it?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the Casey Jones TV show. The Mason-Dixon line was the arbitrary line where the North and the South. You were north of the Mason-Dixon line, or you're south of the Mason-Dixon line, and that led to the Civil War. There you go. See, Luke, he's right on it. Mason-Dixon line. I don't know what that little spear up there through into Montana is, but there's the Mason-Dixon line. So south of that was the
I'm not
South.
wearing a seatbelt. I didn't get a chance to see that quick enough.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah,
All right.
got it. Yeah,
Turns out
got
that bridge is right on the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah.
How ironic is that? Oh, not at all. In fact, I talked to Greg Dowd yesterday, who lives near Annapolis and lives very close to that bridge. And he confirmed that Baltimore knows they are in serious trouble because the fuel and all hazardous materials were crossing that bridge. And so from a supply chain standpoint, that bridge is vital to keeping a lot of Maryland flowing, particularly the city of Baltimore.
Not just that, Trent. When you start to look at where they're going to have to reroute all your hazardous materials in the US, but it's the other thing. It's how important that basin is for shipping, and they're not going to be able to get out of that basin for Biden has said straight away that the federal government. As soon as he said that, I thought, what? That's strange. They're not even going to use the boat's insurance policy. As soon as he said that the federal government's going to rebuild that bridge, that told me, oh, be careful, because apparently it's going to take 3 to 5 years to rebuild that bridge.
That's what Greg said they're saying locally, but that's after they get it cleaned up, and that could take a year.
Yeah. So at what point are they going to allow ships through that passage? I mean, this is serious stuff. And when you see the effect it might have on it agriculturally, it's the biggest port in America. That basin is the biggest shipping port in America. I mean, this is huge. And have you seen the speeded up show about how it actually moved towards? It's definitely not. I mean, it's just so obvious. It was aimed straight at that where it hit. It's aimed straight at it. And the other thing is, have you also noticed that the FBI changed the guy in charge of that area and the piloting the day before it happened? And also that one of the guys piloting the ship was a Ukrainian. You couldn't make it up. You could not make this up. You couldn't make it up.
Turns out we might be watching a movie. Oh, no, wait. We're participating. And for all people in the United States who ever wanted to be in a movie, welcome. You're here now.
Yeah, because straight away, your nefarious government announced that it wasn't terrorism. I mean, within 5 minutes, I mean, goodness me. How gullible are the people of America? It's just unbelievable.
Very gullible. In fact, I saw a meme last night that I think is quite appropriate, because for a lifetime I sat here, because we learned about Hitler. We didn't learn about Stalin, and I'm talking about we being in school. We learned from a historical perspective, we learned all about Hitler. We didn't learn about Stalin. We learned Mao Zedong or Lenin or Mussolini or any of these other ruthless tyrants who murdered people by the million. And
no,
but
we
when you
did. We were taught about all of it. But go on.
we did not. And so when we learn about Hitler, the common sentiment is, how could people let this happen? Why would the Germans just stand by and let this happen? And I never understood it until just in the last 5 years. Now I understand it completely. I'm living it.
Actually, that is the one thing that you and I are 1000% agreed on. I'm the same. I am absolutely flabbergasted. You know, I'm questioning whether whether Catherine, our princess, is even alive, and people think I'm an idiot. And I keep saying to them, well, if you think I'm an idiot, I know that announcement she made the other day was AI. It's been quoted as 96 to 98% AI, right? And yeah, and I say to people who are laughing at me, I say, well, hang on a minute. Last night they think this is just an accident with the boat. I say, hang on a minute. You now know. My best friend has just been told that the illness that he's been diagnosed with is because of the vaccines. Everybody knows that the vaccines are maiming and killing people. And it's the same people telling us all this stuff. And I say to them, don't you realize if they're prepared to kill you, they are prepared to tell you anything?
Mm-hmm.
That's the bit I don't understand. And it's this something in people's psyche that says, oh, well, they didn't mean to give us vaccines that harmed. Yes, they did. They completely did. They planned it. And you need to wake up to it. And now, do you know what, Trent? Just on that subject, our government has now said that they will no longer give free COVID-19 vaccines. They now cost £99 or $128 each if you want one. I mean, that's like, feeling lucky, punk. I mean, really, it really is quite remarkable how stupid people are. Stupid.
Do you know who you just quoted?
Who?
No, if you. Oh, okay. But it appears as though you have been conquered by Pakistan without a shot being fired. Is this a true story? Look, we have some proof here. What's going on with this, Andrew? This is London on Monday, and y'all are flying a Pakistani flag on, what is it, Wesley Street? Well, what's up with this?
Listen, it doesn't surprise me one bit.
There's no UK flag there, Andrew. That's just a Pakistani flag.
Trent, please spare me. We even this week, you know that the England soccer team, I'm calling it soccer to make it easy for you to understand. They just announced their new kit, English kit. Now, the English flag is always on the back of the neck collar of the English flag is always there. That's been something. I'm Scottish, and I know the Scottish flag is on the back of the Scottish kit. You know what they did? They put the pride flag on it. The pride flag on the English kit.
Yeah,
you know what's happened?
I believe it.
Nike shares, boom. Sales, boom. It was Bud Light overnight. Now, we have a Pakistan Prime Minister in both Scotland, or an Asian Prime Minister in England and Scotland. One has just resigned in Ireland. Look, I'm telling you, that doesn't surprise me, seeing a Pakistani flag on top of a church. What surprises me is the Pakistanis allowing that flag onto the church. That's the interesting one, because they're Muslims, as far as I was aware.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that thing just gets really complicated, because I assume, is that a Catholic church?
You'd have to show me it again. I could probably work it out.
I remember standing by that church when I was in that little square. I did a video when I was there in downtown London, and that church was off, it seems like, to my north.
Well, there's lots of churches that look like that, Trent. I mean, and London's a big place. I would not. That church there.
That church is right by where I was standing, in the middle of that big ball in the middle, or whatever that's called. Or fountain. There's a big fountain in the middle. People were gathering.
That doesn't look like Trafalgar Square to me, so I can't see that close enough. Somebody who's watching this, you need to send me that Luke backroom boy, and I'll tell you exactly where that is. But I have a feeling there's many churches that look like that.
Okay, the actual address was on the video, but I'll send it to you so we don't have to trouble the backroom boy.
What was the address? What was the address?
I don't know. I'll have it during the break and come up with it.
You know, this is the new me. I'm fearless. I'm not even wearing a seatbelt in a station.
I know.
These days.
We're really
it is
impressed.
Unbelievable.
The brave new Andrew. I spent too much time researching a $4.8 million cow in Brazil to get the actual address. But I have those details too.
That's a bit low. That's a bit low. You have the biggest atrocity since 9/11, right? And you do nothing about it.
I wouldn't agree to that.
And you call yourself
I don't agree to that. But we got to go to a break. Live across the pond, Andrew Henderson, Trent, Loos, more after this. And then,
I mean, and you think about, go back 100 years to when this farm credit system was first envisioned. And you know, you go all the way back to when Teddy Roosevelt is actually the person, he was the president that kind of led the movement to get everything going on this. Certainly, it was never intended that our U.S. farm credit system would be in some kind of competition with the farmers. And essentially what we've turned the farm credit system into is a program that is funding the farmers' demise. They're doing it themselves.
Hello and welcome to the MHA Interpretive Center. It's the perfect stop along the Lewis and Clark Trail and the cultural hub of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. Nestled along the shores of Lake Sagagawea in Newtown, North Dakota, 1 mile west of the Four Bears Casino. You can enjoy amphitheater performances, art exhibitions, and educational workshops utilizing our living cultural center. Enjoy some coffee, browse our gift shop, and learn about the original people of this land. Learn more at mhanation.com/interpretive center.
Trent Loos here for my friend Greg Hager. Do you know why he has been named the Entertainer of the Year? It's because he writes his own stuff. It's because what he writes and performs and entertains will touch you in a way like very few songwriters can touch you. His country, his Christian roots come to life. Visit greghager.com for tour dates, merchandise, and book the show yourself. Use the code GREG24 for a discount. greghager.com.
Stop out to our facility, Highway 22 South. Let us build a truck for you.
Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson is a family-owned dealer with expert staff that know their products front to back. We stock over 150 units of all types and can custom order a trailer with the unique features and capabilities you require for brands you can trust. Our experienced service team is the reason we're also the best place to have your trailer customized or repaired. Count on Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson to keep you hauling.
Are you looking for something special or one of a kind? At Bassett Motors, we can help you find exactly what you want.
Come on in and experience how small town hospitality and personal service can make car buying a pleasure.
We know interest rates are important to you. We have multiple lenders to negotiate your lowest payment.
Visit us on Highway 281 in Carrington, North Dakota, and online at BassettMotors.com. Bassett Motors, where our customers send their friends.
Folks, when it comes to crop protection, you need equipment and technology you can count on. The Apache sprayer accomplishes all of that, but you need something else. A service counter and a group of people that'll help you when you need it. Simpson Farm Enterprises at simpsonfarm.com and High Plains Apache from Mandan. They have the service, they have the equipment. All they need is your confidence. Online, simpsonfarm.com or highplainsapache.com.
Look, so see these cows here, Trent.
Welcome back.
Seconds
Live
out,
across the
round
pond.
2. Seconds out, round 2.
Andrew Henderson, Trent, Loos. So I have more information on the Nelore cow, which is now more intriguing than it was yesterday.
Oh, see,
So,
have I opened a can of worms there as well?
yeah,
for you?
absolutely. So number one, yesterday on my quick search, I had said that it come to the purchaser was in the United States. That's false.
Yeah, you did. Oh, false.
Yeah, it's
More
false.
falsehoods from you. Okay,
The
go on then.
purchaser is Nelore NRO. So then I search NRO, Nelore NRO, and I find that NRO is a major employer in all of Brazil. And they have this Nelore little project, but I can't find who the actual players are. And when I find it, it's in Portuguese, and my Portuguese, quite frankly, isn't very good. Now, the interesting thing about this cow is that in the last week, and the reason you found it, in many publications, I mean, publication after publication are talking about this $4.3 million cow.
No,
She
4.8 million cow. No,
she sold for, as we indicated yesterday, 1.34, I think. And that was for a third of her. And she sold last June. No, it was a third. 33%. I know that for a fact. But she sold last June. And it was reported last June. And then all of a sudden, just this week, there's a ton of people picking up on this story and talking about this $4.3 million cow. I don't know what any of it means. I have no conclusion other than guess what record she broke for a top selling Nelore cow.
The most expensive dairy cow in history. I thought it was. I thought it was
a dairy cow. No, it's not a dairy cow.
No, a cow.
The year before, the people who sold a third interest in her this year purchased half interest in her in 2022, and she set a record for $800,000. And I don't know that she's yet raised a calf. She's 4.5 years old.
So she's a lazy cow, isn't she?
I know they're flushing her. They're getting embryos out of her, no doubt about it. But I don't know. I just have a gut feeling there's something more to this story. I just haven't found it yet.
Well, that's Inspector Loos. Get out there and find out clues to come to the solution.
Here's what I do know. We must stop giving money to the United Nations. I went back. I found the original charter from the 40s, and I'm going to read this. This is the original charter and the purpose of the United Nations, and I want you to see how successful this has been with the zillions of dollars that we've all spent on this project. We, the peoples of the United...
You have. Yeah,
well, you're six. You're six on the list. Yeah. We, the peoples of the United Nations, determined to succeeding generations, the scourge of which we want to be in our lifetime has brought untold sorrow in mankind, and to reaffirm the faith in the fundamental human rights, in the dignity and the worth of human person, and the equal rights of men and women, and the nations large and small, to establish conditions under which justice and respect for the obligations arising from treaties and other sources of international law can be maintained by promoting social progress and better standards in a larger freedom. And would you say, Andrew, that since 1945, we have garnered more respect for men and women, that we have actually accomplished greater freedoms for mankind and improved the health and well-being of people?
No.
I agree.
Although, can I just say, up until, I know you might disagree with me, but up until the mid-90s, I saw a very positive society, and I don't think it was because I was blind. I remember seeing people going from, making themselves very successful because of the hard work that they'd done, and I felt freedom was something that we experienced in those days. it's only recently that I've seen the wheels come off that particular narrative that you've just given. You and I have lived through times that have been fantastic, I believe.
Mm-hmm. I'm not arguing with you at all, but right underneath this desk, I'm just going to tell you stuff that like Kelly wouldn't want me to tell you. You know what I have right underneath this desk?
A gun.
Well, that goes without saying. A mousetrap.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
And I have a mousetrap because, you know, if there's a rodent in here, I'm enticing it right now with a piece of caramel popcorn to come over here and enjoy the caramel popcorn. I liken that to what I agree with you 100%. The 80s and the 90s, a period of time where we really grew ourselves. I mean, graduated high school in 1984. You were just a couple of years ahead of me. We got into business, and that was the setting of the trap period of time where we really got people complacent, because even, you know, our grandparents were saying and doing things. They're like, you're saving what? Why are you doing that? Well, because they lived through the Great Depression. They lived through times where things were tough. Even my parents, born in the early 40s, lived through the last part of the World War II and the Korean War and that mess of the 60s and everything. That was the trap. And now here we are. But here's the good news. We, as the United States consumers, are sending $54 each year to the United Nations to accomplish health and wealth and success for all nations around the world. That's what that's what my bill is. I was told the other day that people are spending $125 a year for their TV, their entertainment, whatever system they have in their house, or however they're getting their supply of whatever they're watching. I thought that was a lot. I couldn't believe that. We wouldn't spend that. But we're spending $54 every year. That's every man, woman, and child. Every infant born today is contributing $54 to the United Nations, because annually we contribute $18 billion to the United Nations. We do it every year. That's 22%.
I would argue it's a lot more than that, Trent, but carry on. I think that's just the bits you know. When you start looking at all the money laundering that's going on at the moment to fight these wars, I think you could treble that amount.
No, I'm not. I'm only talking. You're absolutely right. I'm not arguing that in any way, shape, or form. It's foreign aid excluding Ukraine and Israel, because that's a separate line item. 70 billion. 70 billion. United Nations alone is 18 billion of the 70 billion. But here's where it gets really disheartening. We have any United Nations country that wants to be a part and a member of the United Nations, they have, based on their GDP, what they're supposed to submit as their annual dues, if you want to call it that.
Is it not 1% of your GDP? Is it, what is the figure supposed to be?
I don't know the answer to that question. I can find it.
I think it's something like 1%.
That makes sense.
You're the only country that you and maybe 3 or 4 others are the only countries in the world that actually put that amount in.
No, you're right, but no. Our dues are 17% of what we actually contribute. We're contributing 83% more than what we're obligated to by being members of the United Nations.
Wow.
And that contribution is contributing to one thing: the move to a one world government. And Luke has now shown us a graph of all the contributing countries. I believe China's second on there. Although Luke, I can't read that. Yeah. And so you see where we are at. Look at the percent. And China, by the way, has got a couple more than 300 million people. They got 1.5 billion people. And we are footing the bill at 22%. And the point I want to reemphasize, we're only obligated to be a member of the United Nations at 17% of what we're actually paying. This is a major problem.
And the big lie is, Trent, that since 1944, 45, the world has been told that the United Nations has kept peace worldwide. It's actually done the opposite of that. And that's 100%. The other thing that that's the other thing I really detest, because it's so wrong when you think you're saying it from your peaceful country rather than looking at the truth where other countries have been raped and pillaged by this organization. I mean, that's the truth.
Actually, unfortunately, literally raped, because we see many UN peacekeepers who have committed rape as they go into countries to bring peace about that country.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
This needs to stop. And if anybody who continues to fund any United Nations or this money we don't have, every kid owes $54 each year to the United Nations.
Well,
that doesn't set well with me, Andrew.
Well, as far as I'm aware, there's only one candidate that's saying they're going to withdraw funding the United Nations and the World Health Organization in America at the moment. Now, you might say he might not do it, but there's only one saying they're going to do it.
Well, he had a chance and didn't, so there's that.
No, he did. He came out of the World Health Organization whilst he was while he was president. Just get that straight. You went back in under your present president.
I'd said the United Nations. World Health is part of the United Nations.
But at the end of the day, he's now saying he's going to come out of both. But he did exactly what he said he was going to do last time he did. Whether you like it or not, he did it.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, did I mention that I got a trap with some bait under my desk?
Yes, you did. But you keep thinking that you keep using an example, but it's a bad example. At the end of the day, there's no alternative other than that at the moment.
Live across the pond, regaining control for the farmer, one bite at a time. Nobody asked why the cheese is free. Too late. See you tomorrow.
Bye. Bye.
At OLS Tubs, we focus on quality ingredients to create premium, low-consumption supplements that save producers time and money. Our customers see increased profits through better conception rates, heavier winning weights, and less time and money spent on doctoring herds. OLS formulas focus on highly bioavailable trace minerals and vitamins, as well as key ingredients to improve immune response, colostrum quality, and feed conversion. Our exclusive formula propels your livestock to their full genetic potential. This is why we confidently say OLS Tubs are simply the best.
People get sick for two reasons and two reasons only. Your body's missing something that it needs, or it's exposed to something that it doesn't need. So if you supplement what the body's missing, the body fixes itself. If you remove from the body toxins that are interfering with the body's doing what it's normally designed to do, then the body heals itself. It's really that simple.
NO2U, that's nitric oxide, NO, number 2, letter U.com, and you put Trent as coupon code, you don't pay any shipping.
In the heart of North Dakota lies a beautiful community to live, work, and play. Beulah is surrounded by nature and just minutes from Lake Sakakawea and all that it offers. The possibilities for fun and relaxation here are boundless. It's the perfect place to find a fulfilling career, epic adventures, and a welcoming community. Life here is legendary. Plan your visit today and see what you're missing.
Open Range is going to be like a digital magazine, I call it. We're going to be looking at a variety of subjects from agriculture, energy, sports, art, politics, of course, and we will be talking about a lot of subjects, having a lot of guests on, and I'm going to have a variety of co-hosts. One of them is Memo Barreto, D.L. Wetzel, Gene Grainer, Dustin Goverlau, and Daryl Lease. Welcome to Open Range, weeknights at 9 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.